So thank you guys all for coming back after lunch. So nice to see all your smiling faces. So I had an opportunity to sort of chat a little bit with Maureen, but I wanted to really kind of dive in a little bit on what she does. So Maureen, can you tell us a little bit about Global Genes, what it is and what you do?
Sure. And so first off, I'm really pleased to be here and be able to talk to everybody. And to let you know, actually, Global Genes' headquarters is just a few miles up the road from here. As a matter of fact, we do have folks that are spread across the country right now, and we are looking to expand even further. We have been around for about 11 years, and our mission is to improve the lives of everyone affected by rare disease globally. And we do that by really making sure that patients and advocates and families are put first in rare disease research, rare disease drug development, thinking about how to support rare disease families. And so we work to provide tools and connections and resources that will really engage and connect and empower the rare disease community in order to address critical unmet needs that they see either in their lives or in their disease communities.
And so can you go into a little bit of detail on how you exactly do that?
Yeah. So we have a wide variety of programs, and we're really excited because we have some wonderful plans for growth. So primarily what we have as sort of the foundation for our efforts is we have built out alliances. So we have a foundation alliance where groups, and they don't necessarily have to be a 501c3, though many of them are, but groups that are organized around a rare disease community or a rare disease topic can join, and then we have resources available for them. We offer webinars, and we provide discounts to some of our other programs, which I'll get to in just a moment. And then we have a corporate alliance, which is composed of our supporters on the industry side, and it ranges from biotech and pharma to consulting and CROs and really just any industry that is interested in the rare disease space. And this year we're launching our research alliance, which will be the efforts or trying to bring together the stakeholders on the research side and then be able to really provide some cross-communication across all three stakeholder groups. So we're very excited about that. So that is the foundation of our efforts. And then building on that, we have quite a few resources that are available online. We have some toolkits and webinars. We have a program called Rare University, where we have course modules laid out for rare disease patients and families to learn about the drug development process and some more about rare disease and working with industry. Then we have several programs, several events that we hold. Our biggest events by numbers are an event that we hold in June, typically. This year it's going to be June 12th. That is a partnership with the University of Pennsylvania's Orphan Disease Center, and that's called our Rare Drug Development Symposium. And that's focused on thinking about and educating about how rare disease patients can participate and really drive the rare disease research and development process. We also this year will be having a Young Investigators Workshop in tandem with that in order to really build the capacity for the rare disease research and development space, provide information to young investigators, young researchers about what kinds of resources are available, both on the government side, on industry side, and of course, how to work with patient communities and what tremendous resources the patient communities bring. So that's in June. And then in September, we have our annual Rare Patient Advocacy Summit. It's down in San Diego, right by the airport at the San Diego Marina. And it is 2 days, expanding into 3 days of resources, networking opportunities, And it's really a tremendously large gathering of rare disease advocates. We had over 1,000 people attend the 2019 event, and it's just wonderful and powerful. And if anybody is interested, please reach out to us, because we do have exhibitor booths. We have opportunities to meet with rare disease families and patients and learn more about the community and their needs.
Oh, that's really exciting. So how does one get involved? Like, what's the sort of the process for that?
Absolutely. So please just reach out. We are very excited and eager to talk to anybody who is interested in helping the rare disease communities. We, of course, do have our corporate alliance for those folks on the industry side. If anybody has a personal tie, we are very eager to make sure that there's support that is available and to be able to connect with resources that are available either through us or through other rare disease organizations. So really just please reach out and connect with us. We're at globalgenes.org, and we are absolutely wonderfully thrilled to begin conversations and thinking about how to support the rare disease community.
So can you tell me a little bit more about why you decided to start Global Genes? Like, what was it that you felt like this, Global Genes needed to exist in the world?
Absolutely. So we were founded by Nicole Boyce, and she is an amazing woman. She's a powerhouse. She is incredibly dedicated to the cause. And it was really, she had a family friend whose son was undiagnosed for, I think it was 17 years. And so they went through a journey of trying to find answers. And then they did eventually get a diagnosis. But at that point, there still wasn't a lot of resources. There still wasn't a lot of support for the family. And Nicole, quite honestly, just thought that was wrong, that there needed to be support. There needed to be information. There needed to be a way for families to connect and to find that support that they so desperately needed. So she founded Global Genes. And it's really the very key thing about Global Genes is that we are there to support the patients and families and caregivers. So everything we do is really targeted to make sure that they have the resources that they need. And we certainly work with all stakeholders, but we're geared toward making sure that the communities are supported and are able to move forward in their efforts.
And so I have two questions, actually. The first one is, so what is your sort of personal question or personal reason for why you decided to join Global Genes? So, Nicole, it's clear, but like, why are you here?
Well,
why are you here?
What's my why, right? And I will say, it might sound a little lofty, but my why is to really change the world for rare disease patients. There's such tremendous opportunity at this point. We're making such tremendous advances in providing diagnoses. So the path to getting an answer for what exactly is the problem is getting shorter and shorter. There's a tremendous need now to think about ways that we can develop therapies for rare disease patients and get them to their communities in a quick, efficient, affordable way. And so my background is a little bit in biology, and then I moved over to science and technology policy, and specifically thinking about collaborations, ways that groups can collaborate around science and technology policy. And so this you can't do this alone. Rare disease communities can't do it on their own. The companies can't do it without help from the communities. And so I was really drawn to thinking about how do we move forward here together with collaborations and just make the world a better place for the communities and the patients and the families.
That's amazing. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you have been able to, like, what has Global Genes been able to accomplish since its inception and also within sort of the last year? Absolutely.
So we have grown quite a bit. We are, I think, building up to more than about 25 staff right now. As I said, I mentioned the events that we have, kind of our signature events. The summit in September has been the one that we've done the longest. We have expanded with other programs as well to really to really provide information and resources across the entire spectrum of needs and efforts by the rare disease community, from living with a rare disease to sharing your story and trying to influence public policy to, again, the research and drug development process. So we are continuing to build out and expand our reach. We're expanding globally, so we not last year, but the year before, established a Rare Global Leadership Council. And so we're working with them on identifying some cross-cutting issues that span, no matter where a rare disease patient is across the world, and trying to think about ways that we could develop some solutions or some resources for to answer those challenges. We are also just really continuing to build out our programmatic efforts and expand our alliances. So our Foundation Alliance now, I believe, has over 600 members, and our Corporate Alliance, I believe we're just right around 100 members as well. And so we continue to expand out and build those stakeholder groups in order to really be able to push forward and bring as many voices in so that we can all really try to think about how to solve these problems collaboratively.
Amazing. So for 2020, what does, if I'm sitting here talking to you in December, what has the year look like?
Oh gosh. So we hope to be able to build out some efforts on thinking about how do we make sure that all folks are included particularly in clinical trials. So we're thinking about ways that we can build out some efforts to make sure that underserved communities and minority communities are able to participate in clinical research and drug development. We are really looking to think about how to convene and communicate the patient voice around some of the discussions that are happening for thinking about regulatory pathways for very small patient population drug development, particularly thinking about maybe the N of one or N of few discussions. So hopefully in 2020, we'll be able to, at the end of 2020, we'll be able to say that, we were able to achieve some of those ways that we were able to marshal the community in order to make their needs, their challenges, and really some of the solutions that they can contribute to, known to regulatory agencies, to industry, and to academic communities, as well as to each other. A big part of what we do is try and share information across the rare disease community. It's a huge community. I'm sure everybody knows this, but individually they may be small, but collectively, rare disease is probably about 30 million in the United States, about 300 million worldwide, and of course that's just patients. That's not counting the families that are affected.
So what I wanted to also talk to you about was, how do you decide sort of the resources that you're going to put towards, helping your different stakeholders? What sort of process do you go through to sort of figure out what you're going to focus on for that particular year?
Right. So as I've mentioned, we work very collaboratively. So we listen very, very carefully to all of our partners. We listen to the rare disease communities that we work with in order to hear what their challenges are, some of the awesome, amazing solutions that they're developing. I mean, they're working to develop in tremendously detailed registries and natural history studies and share that data broadly. They're working to think about ways to gather outcomes that really matter to the rare disease families when they're looking at some clinical research. So we listen very carefully to them and think about what resources they need to have in place, what connections they need to advance their efforts. We listen to our stakeholders, partners in industry, and hear what their challenges are in being able to meet the rare disease community's needs. And as I said, we're working very hard also to build out engagement with researchers to hear about what their challenges are and to make sure that they understand that there's tremendous capacity here and tremendous value in entering a career in rare disease research.
Okay, so I guess I feel like my last question is just, what would you like to leave us with? What should we know about Global Genes?
That's a good question. So I think the main thing that I would say is that we are collaborators, and we want to reach out. We want to work with other stakeholders in order to solve these challenges. We are really, really dedicated to making sure that patients and families get the support they need, and ultimately a treatment. That's what everybody is hoping for, and that's what we're really trying to support them in moving forward. So I would say, we are. The one thing to remember about us is that we want to work very collaboratively to advance this for rare disease patients.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank
Very
you.
much appreciated. I wanted to open up the panel to any questions. Anybody have any questions in the audience?
Yes.
Here. You know what? I'll just come along. Okay.
So in the drug world, there's been a lot of talk about pricing and pricing increases for rare diseases. Like
Yes.
some of them are $1 million a year, or whatever the cost is, $300,000. I was wondering if you could comment on what you've heard about pushback from some of the payers on pricing, if it's a big deal, or should we watch out in the coming years? And is there a limit?
Well, I think that there has been a lot of discussion around that, and Global Genes actually did convene a workshop to kind of think through some of the access issues, access to critical therapies. I think that it's common sense that it's not a sustainable solution to keep pricing rare disease drugs at the prices that they are currently seeing. But the question becomes, how do we address those problems while still making sure that innovation is a central point for our R&D system? And so I think there's a lot of thoughts around that in really trying to think about what kinds of ways could the drug development process be changed a little bit in order to drive down some of those costs. And really one of the things that I think might play a big role in that is some of the advances in the technology of being able to identify patients, be able to identify drugs and learn about the patient's disease through just some really dedicated research, but also some of the advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning.
But are the payers at the point where they're saying no more?
I don't know that specific topic has come up. I think everybody's concerned about the issue, though.
Thanks. Thanks.
Anybody else have any other questions? What's up? I don't need to work out today.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm from Charles River. I just had a question about your experience and some of the challenges that the families are facing for N of 1 trials. And now that there have been a few success stories,
Right.
Do you see sort of a path with the agency where that's going to become more common and more accessible to more people?
Absolutely. So there certainly has been some tremendous successes, and I think that there's growing interest in thinking about what do we do for those situations, for those cases. There has been, I think, some discussions at the regulatory agencies and within the communities about how do we handle this? What kind of process are we going to put in place? And so, as I was mentioning, one of the things that we want to do, though, is to make sure that the patient voice and the caregiver voice is is a key part of that discussions, because we want to make sure that whatever regulatory pathways are put in place are really not going to block this effort for rare disease communities, because it is going to be really valuable, and it is already, for some families, it already has been pretty valuable. So that's our role, is to make sure that the patients are heard and that the patients are a key part of those discussions.
Any other questions? Nope. Okay. All right.
Well,
Well, thank you
thank you.
so much
Thank
for
you
your
so much.
time. Thank you for